friends. Hello, hello. How are you all doing? My name is Alena Shautsova, a New York immigration attorney, and today we're going to have our live. I'm going to share with you some insights as to the affirmative asylum backlog. What's basically happening with that? Why we are waiting and waiting for the interviews, what's there to come, how many cases are in affirmative asylum backlog, at least in New Jersey office, what's happening in New York asylum office, how many cases are being called for the interview each month, and how old are all these cases? What's happening? Many of you are asking me these questions. When am I going to be called for the interview? So now, using insights from meetings between immigration attorneys and representatives of asylum offices, I'm going to share with you information that I know. Hopefully, it's going to give you some idea as to what's happening with that. We're also going to discuss Biden's plan. Biden's plan for immigration changes. When, if at ever, if at all, we're going to see some changes coming up. I've been discussing those potential upcoming changes for a while now, and now we have a little bit more information as to when exactly they may come. And of course, we're going to also talk a little bit about Oklahoma immigration law. You may be aware that more and more states are passing their own immigration laws. Believe it? Can you believe that? And we're going to talk today about Oklahoma. So please join. Please like and share this stream. Don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. And in the end, I will try to answer some of you guys' questions. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining. And let's start. I will try to share some of my slides with you. Don't be upset if it's not going to work out. It's not going to be purposefully done. And if I disconnect, I promise I will go back and will leave the slides alone. So first of all, let's talk about asylum office backlog. You most likely, a lot of my followers are in the United States waiting for the affirmative asylum interview, and it's not coming, and you're seeking answers to your questions as to why it's happening. Well, now we have a little bit more information as to why it's happening. Well, first of all, you need to know that the oldest case, as I promised to you to share this information with you, the oldest case that we have in New York Asylum Office, at least, according to the officials, is from 2015. And according to the officials, the oldest case in New Jersey office is from 2013. 2013 means the case is almost 11 years old. What is going on? What's going on is that there are only about 2,500 asylum offices in the United States. The affirmative asylum case backlog is about 1 million cases. Only 80 to 100 cases are scheduled per month in, for example, New York Asylum Office. And that's exactly what we are dealing with. Not enough offices, huge backlog. Now, why your case is not being scheduled? You're probably in a backlog. How to get out of the backlog? We're going to discuss it now. But you're in a backlog for many different reasons. Reason number one, it of course, when President Trump came into the office, the way asylum interviews were conducted, prioritized, this way was changed. So if you filed your case after 2018 or in 2018, you fell into this backlog where last filed cases are supposed to be called first. In addition to that, currently, most asylum offices are busy with something called Operations Allies Welcome, meaning that they're focusing on Afghan cases first. They are calling cases from the backlog and newly filed cases, but nobody can really tell you how many of those old cases are being called and how those cases are being selected. This is what I gathered from the interview notes with asylum officials that met with immigration attorneys. It's sort of a random process, according to them, and we do not have any specific prediction as to when your case may be called for an interview. As you see, some cases are pending it happens very rarely, but some cases are pending even from 2013. Now, the government does have plans to hire more officers, but it takes time to train them. Also, from these minutes, we discover that some officers that's supposed to be working in New York or New Jersey are being sent to other places in the United States where such cases are higher priority, even more flow of cases like Texas. And for that reason, there are less people being called for the interviews in New York and New Jersey. By the way, I wanted to mention something here as well. I didn't prepare a slide for that, but you need to know that a new deportation statistics came out, and it shows that New York is number one state where people are being deported from. Why? Well, because in New York, there are also more immigrants who are filing for relief. And as a result, percentage-wise, of course, or let's say, percentage-wise, what happens is that more immigrants, more cases, maybe it's the same percentage or about the same percentage of cases, but more people are going to be physically deported from New York than from other states. At the same time, I want to emphasize that I believe that in terms of judges granting asylum relief in New York courts, we usually have higher chances, not only because we have better judges, but also because the law in the Second Circuit is more favorable than other circuits. And for that reason, you have usually greater chances of being granted asylum in court in New York than, let's say, Texas or North Carolina. This is just a fact. So as you see, the backlog is tremendous. 1 million cases, not enough offices, random process, plus there are internal priorities as to which cases are being called, such as Afghan cases or family cases. You may know that now there are special dockets, if you will, special procedures for families that come through the border, not for every family, but for some coming through certain points of entries where they're being processed extremely fast. Within 30 to 90 days, the family is either getting their asylum or being deported. And a handful of officers are being assigned to those cases as well. So this is why we are stuck in forever lasting backlog. Not enough officers, too many cases. Now, let me jump to my next slide. Hopefully it's going to work out and I'll be able to show it to you. About Biden's plans. Well, I discussed previously very important news that Biden's administration introduced through reporters, I guess, rather, various inside information was shared with reporters that the administration is planning perhaps a series of executive actions. Some of them may be positive, such as parole in place, and some of them immigration community may see as more negative as further restrictions at the border. While administration is still figuring out the details and nothing is being set in stone, so nothing what I'm sharing here with you is the law yet. We do have some more information as to potential timing of when those changes may occur. And according to this news article, news source, it seems that the change may occur as soon as late May, early June. As soon as late May, early June, which is very, very important. Hopefully, something will happen. So hopefully something positive, like parole in place. Again, you need to know that currently parole in place is being administrated for those who are members of military personnel, family members of military personnel and former military personnel. But also it's possible to request parole in place for other humanitarian situations. It's not a 100% no that you're going to be denied. You need to know that. The parole in place is a form of prosecutorial discretion. In uncertain, compelling situations, the government may give you parole in place even if you are not a member of the military personnel. I know for a fact it happened, for example, in Florida. I know that ICE office there did exercise their prosecutorial discretion. New York is more stingy with that, but again, it's possible. Don't give up just because someone said that it's not possible. That's the point. So now I gave you this insight. And my third news that I wanted to share with you relates to local immigration law. Now we're talking about Oklahoma, where Oklahoma state passed a law that is going to go into effect on July 1st if they don't get sued, just like Texas did, that makes it a misdemeanor, to be without papers in the state. And if you're caught once, it's a misdemeanor. If you're caught twice, a second time, it's a felony. And the local police enforcement is going to have a right to check your documents and enforce this law, similar to Texas provisions. Texas law currently is on hold, if I'm not mistaken, if nothing changed within the past 24 hours. But this one is set to go into effect on July 1st, unless, of course, Oklahoma State is going to be sued and the law is also going to be paused. Very, very important to know that. That's a possibility. But if not, then local enforcement, law enforcement is going to have a right to also enforce partially immigration laws and deport you from the state of Oklahoma. So this is very important. As you see, there is this general trend between the states to turn to local regulations of immigration issues. And it's not a good trend, I would say, right? Why? Because they're not trained on federal law, this local law enforcement. We're going to see what's going to happen. Of course, it's probably stressful for people who don't have documents to go and live in the States and go through this. I myself experienced this when clients who live in Tennessee or Florida start all of a sudden reaching out, asking for directions, what to do. I mean, listen, the best thing you can do if you can't afford it, if it's feasible, is to move to a more liberal state like California or New York. If you can't, you understand that you have a risk of being subjected to these laws. I personally believe that such laws, state laws, will be eventually not upheld by the highest court. But you never know. I mean, things may happen. And in the meantime, while there is this fight over the laws, you as a person, undocumented, may suffer certain consequences under these laws. So you need to be aware of that. You need to know that these are the developments and negative consequences may happen. And now, if you guys have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Hi, Ali. Hello. Hi, Sarah. Hi, True Wisdom. I'm watching from Mexico. Yay. And waiting for the interview. Well, I hope your interview is going to be scheduled soon. Hi, Sila. All right. So I am asked sometimes questions as to how one may prepare for potential executive actions. And here I'm going to again share with you a couple of tips. If a positive administrative action, executive action, is going to be implemented, you first of all have to have your papers in order. Things like birth certificate, marriage certificate, certificates of birth for your children. Please order copies of your immigration files. It's very easy to do that. It's free if you do it yourself. Go into USCIS account or clicking on a link for Executive Office of Immigration Review FOIA, EOIR. Punching your A number, sharing your information, confirming your identity, you will receive a copy of your file. Why is it important? Well, it is very important because if you will be filing for any immigration benefit in connection with this reform, any future reform, or maybe just your situation changes, you must know exactly what's in your file, or your lawyer has to know exactly what's in your file. Fraud takes place when you knowingly submit incorrect information, but you also may be charged with misrepresentation. Even though you didn't have any specific intention to defraud the government, but provided incorrect information, you still may face very harsh consequences. So avoid that. Just order copies of your files, store them, ask any lawyer to review to see if anything there is a point of concern. Okay? Sometimes you'll be surprised, I have to tell you. Sometimes people come to me and they say, I did not know that the lawyer filed for me, let's say, a fraudulent avowal case or asylum case. Or sometimes people find out that they have an old order of deportation or removal against them, and they had no idea about that. So that's kind of scary, and it's very important to address that right away so that you are not going to make mistakes. Okay? Hi, Kaka. I was called for an interview for after 8 years. Correct. That's very common that you will be called for the interview after that many years of waiting. Well, hopefully you got a positive result. By the way, if you are waiting for so long for your interview, don't just assume that what you submitted 8 or 10 years ago is enough. You do have to, at a minimum, update your story, statement in support, or story, as many people refer to it to, and country conditions. If you received new threats, if you received any new evidence of persecution, just general country conditions, hire an expert if you can. Submit that. It's very important. Hi, Kaka. It took 6 months to issue a decision about my case, and it was absolutely positive. Great. See, very good result. You should be very happy. Now you should be thinking about filing for green card, right? Usually after 4 to 6 months after you receive that positive determination, you should start preparing filing for your green card or permanent residence. You have to accumulate 1 year of physical presence in the United States in order for that application to be successful. Typically, if you wait for about 6 months after your positive decision to file for the green card, you should be right on time when USCIS is going to be considering your case. So hopefully everything is going to work out for you. Congratulations. It's very, very good news. And for other people who are in backlog, there are 2 ways you can expedite potentially your interview. Way number 1 is to file that request to expedite your case. But you do have to have very strong reasons for that. It's not for everybody. Usually it's for those who suffer certain medical conditions, can demonstrate that further delays in the case are going to negatively affect them. And the second way is to file a lawsuit against the government. If you're going to choose that second way, please make sure you are fully prepared for it. Because recently, government started fighting those lawsuits. They are paying attention to them more than ever, and they're pushing back. It means that if they find anything in your case, any discrepancy, anything that they can use against you, oh, they will use against you, okay? They will use against you. So make sure that you have a solid case, truthful, strong evidence. You're fully prepared. Your story is updated. You have that expert report. And if you feel confident, then go ahead. There are ways to force the government to give you that interview. Do not use this route unless you are waiting for at least 3 years. Okay? At least 3 years. But if you do wait for more, then you can proceed, if you feel confident in your case. Remember, the lawsuit is not going to give you victory or approval. It only gives you that interview. And of course, the outcome of interview may be uncertainty, or like our friend today shared with us here, you may be waiting for months and months for the decision, even after the interview was given to you. And by the way, the lawsuits are costly. All right, you need to know that they do cost a lot because it's a federal work, very specific work. Not every attorney is going to be able to handle it. Attorney has to know federal rules of evidence as well, rules related to jurisdiction, motion practice, and so on and so forth. Hi, Sarah. I'm still waiting for the interview since 2015. Right. So according to New Jersey Asylum Office, they just have a handful of cases like yours. That's what they're saying. And it is true. In my practice, I saw that most cases of people who did not move, did not change their jurisdictions, right? Because move to a different state changes the jurisdiction and delays your case. Most cases who filed at least in 2017 and earlier, were already called for the interview. Okay? But if you filed in 2014 or 15 and changed your jurisdiction, from what I understand, you go to the back of the list in a new place that you are moving to. And for that reason, there are great delays. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your likes and questions. I hope you find this stream helpful and this news. Stay informed, and I hope